All right, we're back. Sunday Night Rumbling here. We got three of us here anyway. We got the man from down under. How is Copperhead Custom doing? Yeah, there you go. And Sean.
How's everyone?
Sean Fat Tire Guy Thomas. How are you, bro?
Good. How's everybody?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, we're supposed to have Malcolm Danar is his name, but anyway, he was in the Christine movie. He's the guy that got run over. You know, if you watch the movie where the car pulls into, he's running from the car and then he gets in the little loading dock area and then the car pushes in and kills him. Y'all know the part I'm talking about in Christine? Yeah. He's that guy. Yeah, he's that guy. And he's a lot of fun to talk to. But anyway, he actually does a lot of tours with a Christine car. They actually took bits and pieces of the car after the movie, some guy did, and built actually a Christine car. But anyway, he called me about an hour ago and he said, "Man, I am so sorry." He said, I can do vocal, but I can't do video. And I said, "Well, let's just do it another time." So anyway, he had to go out of time. There's John. How are you, bro?
Good, man. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good. I just tell him that Malcolm, he called me about an hour ago and he had to go out of town. He said he could do a phone call, but he couldn't do video. And I said, let's just wait because we want to get the whole picture, see how he looks. You know, like they do that actors then and now kind of thing, you know. But anyway. But now you know which one he was, right, John? The guy that got squished in the loading dock.
Yeah. He was the bigger of the bad guys, like the fatter of the bad guys.
Yeah, he's a fat guy. It was so funny him talking about that. I've talked to him before. I actually know him, you know, and that's kind of why I asked him to come on. I thought it'd be cool being Halloween's tomorrow, you know. I thought it'd be cool to have Christine on. But he said that they built that loading dock, and then they put like a D8 Dozier on the backside. They run chains underneath where he was standing and hooked it to the Christine car. And when they filmed that, they actually put that bulldozer in gear and just pull that car into that loading dock. That's the way they shot that.
No kidding.
Yeah. And he said, I'm standing there with log chains underneath my feet. And he said, I was more scared about the chains breaking and taking my ankles off than it was about the car, you know, coming through.
Dude, man, that'd be kind of a nerve-wracking scene to shoot.
Yeah.
Talk about being stuck in a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, but golly, man, he said, but it was pretty neat. But I don't know about y'all. I was the only guy in the movie theater rooting for the car. I'm like,
yeah. I always had like some questions about that movie. I always liked that movie, but and I'd love to show my kids that movie, but the language is awful in it. And I always wondered, did they use a lot of foul language in it to get an R rating?
Maybe.
Just because, I mean, it wasn't really the most gruesome movie out, and it was, you know, it was really, there was violence and stuff. But did they put a lot of swear words in it just to get an R rating, so it would deter youth from getting to it, or maybe get more people to want to go see it?
I think more people want to go see it because it was R rated. But you got a point there. I don't know. I mean, it's a cool movie. Even back, what was that? 83, I think. 83 when they shot that.
Yeah. Something like that. I got it on DVD still.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I do too. But it was a good movie. Like I said, I was rooting for the car, man. I'll tell you that. Of course, I think they used a Belvedere. It really wasn't a Fury because you know the Fury had all the chrome was gold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the grill was gold. All the chrome down the side, you know, all that was gold. So, but I think it was a Belvedere they actually used instead of the Fury. My dad.
That was a cool car, and the one thing that always bugged me is like everybody had a.
How does he do that? How does he just stop all of a sudden? Can y'all see him?
I think his wife hits the remote control button. Shut him up.
Paused you. Let me unpause him.
I like that Charger. Of course, it's all, you know, the Charger.
Oh, he's moving again. Yeah, he's moving again.
Yeah. He back?
He's back. You said the part you liked the best, and then you just froze, man. You just froze.
I don't know what happened. Everybody else froze, and I can still see me. I said that the thing that drove me crazy is that after that movie.
Oh, well, he just delete.
Must be real important what he's about to say because.
Oh, well.
Hey, in the book, it's meant to be a 4-door.
Yeah.
They did?
In the book, it's a 4-door, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say it quick this time. Everybody that had a red 50s car after that movie named it Christine, whether it was a Fury or anything. You know, it's like I knew a bunch of people that had red 57 Chevys, and they all called them Christine after that movie.
Yeah, you're right.
Kind of like the van thing. Everybody calls a van a Scooby-Doo van.
Oh, yeah.
A real vanner really gets mad at that. You know,
I bet.
that's because basically, has any adult ever sat down and watched Scooby-Doo and then figured out what was going on with that cartoon? It was a bunch of dope smoking hippies going around narking on people.
I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for that mean mud.
Yeah,
I can see Shaggy, man. I can see Shaggy there. Ain't no doubt. But the book was, see, we don't read, man. We're from the South down here. We just wait for the movie. He said the movie actually was a 4-door.
Yeah. I never read the book.
I didn't either.
it's kind of like that movie.
Wait, maybe it's just the Australian version. It was a 4-door because you guys like 4-doors down there so much.
In the movie, it's a 2-door, but yeah, no, I did some research this morning. See?
Oh, yeah?
So yeah, Google told me that in the book it's a 4-door.
No kidding.
Well, if
And then I
Google
came across all intelligent, and then you made me like, get rid of my services.
It's kind of like that the movie Where the Red Fern Grows. They say that the book version of the movie, maybe the movie version of the book is how it's supposed to be. But they say that that's pretty gruesome of how the books wrote compared to the way they did the theatrical version of it.
Yeah, well, when it comes to the movie stuff, you gotta remember you gotta take an entire book and condense it down to just an hour and a half, 2 hours. You know, so you got to leave out a lot of the details. You know, I know we over summer school, I had some of my kids read the movie or read the book of Mice and Men, and then we watched the movie. And the remake of Mice and Men followed the storyline real good as far as like the dialogue and everything, but they changed some of the scenes, and it was cool because the kids picked it up. They're like, wait, that was said in the bunkhouse, you know, but it was you know, so you got to figure they got to make some concessions for that too, you know. And it's what I like about reading the book first is then you don't have any preconceived notion of what you're not linking it to the actor.
Right.
You know, you get to kind of make up what the person's gonna look like in your head, and then sometimes you go see the movie and you're like, that doesn't look anything like the guy's supposed to look, you know.
Right. When you find out, like you know, we had once this, I can't remember his name now, but the mechanic for the Dukes of Hazzard, you know, they actually wanted a GTO judge is what they was wanting for the General Lee to begin with, and then they stuck with the color, you know, the judge color. But yeah, that's pretty neat. He's got some cool stories to tell, you know. Of course, he's a film producer. I mean, he actually films and directs now.
Oh, really?
No, yeah, he does a lot. But and that really wasn't his. I mean, you know, that wasn't his biggest movie. He had several movies on down through the years. But I don't know. The car stuff's kind of what I like, you know. And that was a good movie, man.
If it's got a car in it, I got to go see it. You know,
yeah.
With the exception of Fast and Furious movies, I haven't seen all those because they're just ridiculous.
And you know, back in '83, when that car, they beat it all to pieces and then it went back together, that was just amazing. You know,
well, I always wondered how I remember reading something about it that they used a plastic mold,
right,
and then they heated it up until it dented, and then just played it backwards to make it like the dents came out. Yeah. But I always wondered if how they did that with the chrome. You know, I can understand it with the painted surfaces and stuff, but how they made the chrome on break and on bend and stuff was I always thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Remember when I was a kid watching, I just thought that was the neatest thing in the world.
Yeah, my dad's got 2 of them '57 Plymouth Furies, and they're actually really? One's got the factor 2.4s on it. Sure does. Yep.
Oh, really? Now, were they in line or were they like a
they're in line.
ram? They are in line. Yeah.
They're with the cross ram. You know, the cross ram's one that sits way over on the side.
Yeah. Then they had the long ram that sat out over the valve cover. Right. Now that has the cool little like rounded corner triangle air cleaners, right? For the dual air cleaners.
It's actually got the air cleaner. One goes off on one side with a big snorkel on it, and then the other goes off on the other side with a big snorkel on it.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they got like they just lean. It's just a big thing that leans over with a big air intake on the end.
Yeah.
I get tickled, you know. When you're talking to these guys, they'll let on like GTO was the one that started the muscle car era, but Dodge, whenever they come out with that Hemi back in the '50s, they just was so, you know, nobody could hardly touch them. But not very many of them was out there, so a lot of people don't talk about them. But you know, Milton Wolf, he talks about some of them cars back in the day because, you know, he's 80 years old now. He showed me the paperwork where he actually ordered and bought a brand new back in, I think it was '62, a Max Wedge car with a 4-speed in it. He ordered that thing brand new and had the paperwork and the brochure when he
Very cool.
and he went to pick the car up whenever he said it finally come in, and the salesman, it was two brothers that owned the dealership up there in Ohio, and the story that he told, and the guy come to the window because they had been driving the car before he got there to pick it up. He said it had 38 miles on it when he got there, and anyway, one of them guys come over there and said, "Now listen, this car's different than anything you've been driving. Be very careful with this thing. It'll get you hurt." And he said he stalled it like 2 or 3 times just getting it out of the parking lot. But when he finally got it to start taking off, he gunned it just a little bit and then hit the brakes and locked the wheels up. And he said, right as it got to the curb, he let off and it turned and he went out on the street. He said he was embarrassed as crap, but he just drove it on the way where they couldn't
see him.
But he didn't even have his license when he got the car.
Really?
He bought the car, ordered the car brand new, and didn't even have a driver's license yet.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
I know kids now, 18 years old, they ain't got their license.
When we were down in Dawsonville at that car show, it was me and Bill from Flat Broke were down there, and we kind of touched on that. Who really started the muscle car, and it was I guess you can give Pontiac the credit only because they put the big engine in the midsize car. But you're right, back in the 50s, Chrysler had some big inch engines. Chevy had the 283 horse fuel injected engine. So and they put that in a stripped down model called the Black Widow. It was 6 lug wheels with big brakes and no back seat. So really it was a couple different companies were starting to come up with some real performance stuff. The J model engines from Oldsmobile, the 3.2s and stuff were there in the 50s. So it's kind of really hard to give that award to just one of them, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, now, according to Google right here, it said the muscle car first emerged toward the end of the 40s. How about that?
That's putting it back farther than I would expect.
Yeah.
The
I guess at that point you could give it to like anybody.
Oldsmobile Rocket 88.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so here's a trivia question for you. What was the first year that Chevy came out with the overhead valve V8?
Chevy did?
Yeah, what year?
I know that it was 55 in the Bel Air, and
that was the first year for the conventional V8, but Chevy actually had an overhead valve V8 in 1917.
Did they?
In 1917 and 1919, they were extremely rare. They only made like 5 horsepower more than their standard engine, so it was complicated and costly, so they did away with it. And I think the Chevy Museum only has one. They were hunting around for one for a long time. So that's a kind of neat little trivia question. But yeah, as far as the conventional small block Chevy was in the 55, but 1917, 1918, or 1917 to 1919 is when they had
that. Earlier this year, Milton had a Cadillac engine off of I'm going to call it a Brass Air car.
Yeah.
And I really liked the way the engine looked. It was just a little 4-cylinder, but the push rods was external of the engine, and all that stuff.
Was it external rockers too?
Yeah, all that stuff had to be manually with a little pump oil can lubricated.
Yeah.
So
every so many miles.
Yeah, and he had built. They had put that engine together for somebody that does that. What is that? Do they call it the Great American Road Race or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It has to be pre-war stuff only.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Of course, the pistons and something about the pistons and the way that the rods and pistons, there's only one place that does it now. It's up there in Chicago, and it was very expensive to get them the way the rods and stuff was. But but now that engine to me is just a piece of art. I could have it sitting in my living room.
Yeah,
well,
man.
I'm talking about art. I don't know if y'all watched that video I posted of the Tour de Elegance up there with all them Bugattis and all that stuff, man. I'm telling you what, some of them motors. I mean, just the motor had been. It's just amazing to me. These are back in 2030s, and 40s, man. It's just unreal what they had. And these cars, man, they run 200 mile an hour. Some of them dang Bugattis, it's just mind blowing. I wouldn't want to be in one of them. But
I think
a lot of the stuff had real big inch. You know, there were only 4 or 6 cylinders, but they had real big bores, real big stroke, and they revved like a diesel. You know, they were making 100 horsepower, but at like 1,800 RPM. That's pretty much all they had in them. You know.
But they supercharged a lot of them. I mean, a lot of them had superchargers on it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big cars, man. I ain't kidding you.
The thing about that, you got to figure that somebody was drawing that picture just out of their head, and then literally had to build something out of metal that they, what they draw the picture of. There wasn't no computer, the red flag it and say, it's going to be a weak stress right here.
Yeah, right. A lot of trial and error on that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that computer took a lot of the work out of it. And that's the only thing that you worry about is them guys, just like Chuck Beck. I've got that video of him, and we need to go down there, man. He invited me down to his shop. We need to all go. I'm going.
Pretty cool.
But he builds that stuff, man. He built trial and error. That's just like Smoky Units, man. They tried it, and then they went out and drove it and seen how it held up. And nowadays, computer just takes all the, and you wonder if it really does take all the question out of it. If it, because you never know till you drive it,
Right. A lot of that stuff, it's only that computer is only as smart as the data that gets put into it. There's only so much, the more algorithms more points you can put in, the more accurate it'll always be. So it's, even though the computer's programming now, that's still built off the backs of all those people that did it by hand for decades, and then put that information in. And
that's some of that stuff that Smoky Units was doing back in the day, man. He was so far ahead of the time, it wasn't even funny.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hiding fuel line in the car and 7/8 scaling a car down. And pretty amazing, really.
Even just taking the top, he just put a little lip on the back of that Chevrolet to give him a little downforce. Nobody caught that, but that just gave him that much more downforce. That's something he come up with before, anybody else ever thought about it. And then NASCAR got all over him. He said, look, his theory, if it's not in the rule book, then it's legal. Is that the way you do, Copperhead? If it's not in the rule book, then it's legal.
Yeah, everyone's pushing. There is a big gray area, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's where you got to be, in that gray area. That's how you win.
But like NASCAR today, man, it's just, it's just cookie cutter cars, man. I just don't, enjoy it at all.
There is no, you take any sport, to me, they have took the heroism out of it. There's not a man out there defying the odds and overcoming the odds to be a winner, like they used to be. And
an old picture of, I think it was, I'm trying to remember who it was. One of the early NASCAR drivers. There was a picture of him showing his palm of his hand after a 500-mile race, and it was all blistered up. And that guy still raced right to the end, man. He didn't slow down, and it was really grueling. They didn't have the air intake helmets that they have now, and lucky for the drivers today that they do have that stuff to keep them healthier and safer. But those guys really had they were like gladiators back then.
Oh yeah. Ricky Rudd was the last one that I can remember. He won that race. It was at Martinsville or somewhere, and literally could not stand on his feet. They was blistered so bad after he won the race.
No kidding.
Yeah, he had to he did the interview, after the race, sitting down because his feet was literally burnt so bad.
Wow.
And that was going back probably in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. But NASCAR was such a good working class sport.
Yeah, it was a redneck, man. It was rednecks. That's what it was. It was the moonshiners and the rednecks.
That's it. It was born out of that,
Yeah. And what's his name? What's his name? He come up and he said he wanted to go to a NASCAR race and not see one rebel flag, and he's there now because there's none in the state. It's empty.
About the rebel flag is it ain't, the flag itself ain't racist. Now people can twist words or twist a flag or twist it to whatever they want to, but that rebel flag to me symbolized the working class. A lot of the working class. Now, I realize that some people has done some bad things hanging the flag, but it's not like people just need. as you say, like we just talked about reading books, they really need to read the book and not listen to someone else tell them the story sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, now, this thing that Cletus McFarland, do y'all keep up with him? I don't know if Copperhead does, man. He's actually a big YouTuber, man. He's like serious. He's bought a track in Florida down there, and he gets all these guys to come down and bring Crown Vics, and then he's got another race where they do the Rangers, Ford Ranger race. Man, I'd like to get in on that. How do you do that? I mean, that'd be a Crown Vic is just cheap as dirt, man. Throw a roll cage in it and go racing. That'd be so much fun, and it's a cool track. I think they pull like 40 or 50 laps. Y'all know anything about that at all?
I never
I've
watched any.
some of it, you know, and he does invite some YouTubers, I think, but I don't know what his criteria. How
More than what we've got.
oh Lord, yeah. You know, of course, you know, I'm not doing enough content. I could do stuff down there at my shop where I'm working on other people's cars, but you know, I try to do my channel a little different. There's you know, when you know, for especially some of this modern car stuff, that some of the stuff that I work on, some other guys, you know, I do get tickled watching some of these other guys. Sometimes I'll watch them, you know, like if they have never done the type work that they're fixing to try to do, and how they go about trying to do it, and then it's a how-to video. It tickles me sometimes to see some of that. But I started watching this one. Of course, I've subscribed to him, and he's got a pretty good channel. But the auction rebuilds or something, he's got about 350,000 followers, and he goes to Copart and stuff and buys a lot of cars.
Mm-hmm.
And does some work to him and gets. But I got tickled that the video is about a year old. But you know, I'm kindly into them diesel Mercedes Benz, them as everybody calls them, the W123 now. They all act like they're working on the assembly line and, you know, giving them numbers. But anyway, that diesel Mercedes, the 240s and stuff, them cars are tanks. I mean, them things will just keep going, and they was built to last. But anyway, that feller was trying to change a fuel filter on that car, and it's got a bolt on them cars, on all them Mercedes. There's a bolt on them old. It looks like a spin-on filter, but that bolt goes through the housing, and you loosen the bolt. You know, he took that whole assembly off and was trying to get that filter broke loose off on the floor. And I was just laughing, you know, oh, you're going about it wrong. But he put it all back on the car and was going to try to get it running, because he gave up on trying to get it broke loose, and he thought, well, I need to bleed this because I've dumped all the fuel out. So he loosened the bolt and then figured out how it came off then.
Well, now that's pretty much the way I do everything I work on. I start backwards. Yeah.
That'll do it. Every time I think of those Mercedes, I think of Cannonball Run with the Sheiks driving it.
Oh, I love it, man. Yeah.
I can't get past it. Every time I see those, I think there's going to be a Sheik behind the wheel.
Who was the Sheik, man? Who was he? He was the guy off of MASH. What was his name?
Feller from MASH. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Is that who it was? Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yes. Yeah.
Like a woman trying to get kicked out of the army or something. You know?
Yeah.
It was funny as crap.
I just want to go race, man. I mean, that's fun building these cars, but I want to get out and race. That'd be so much fun. I seen a thing with that sleeper dude. He went to, I didn't even know they had it, but they got a big thing up in Kentucky. I think it's in, where is it at up there? Kentucky. They have a big, let's see, I think I might still have it pulled up here.
He went up to a Bowling Green, didn't he?
Bowling Green. Yeah, Bowling Green.
That speedway up there at the speedway up there at the Bowling Green, they've got all kinds of stuff.
Well, they got the autocross and drag racing, and they got, I mean, all kinds of stuff going on. I think they got a Mopar one coming up here another day or two.
No, I just went to it. It was last month.
Was it any good?
Yeah, it was good.
What did you do, the autocross?
It's called Mo Party is what it's called. But they had the rally course, like you was talking about, drag racing, and they had an off-road park thing out there too. There was a brand new one of them TRX supercharged Dodge trucks. Feller was out there jumping that thing on that off-road course and everything. But
did you do any of the autocross or anything?
No, we drove the van up there and stayed. It's
I'd have drove it, man. I don't care. I race anything. I'll be sitting on. If I'm in a Volkswagen and somebody's beside me at a red light and revs the motor up, it's on, baby. I'm ready. We're racing.
Well, see, we drove the van up there, and I had to have something to drive back. I didn't know. So, and I think they even had a burnout contest and everything.
I'm
and
not even burnouts, man. I think
had that Duke, the Duke, that fella doing that jump in the car there, and
jump the General Lee.
Yeah, he jumped the General Lee there and everything.
What is his name? I know him. We get him on. If he's the same one. Now he's the one that makes the General Lee out of a.
Ain't he from Ohio?
Yeah. I get him on. What is his name? Let me see if I can find him.
Big campground there. You ought to see this place that Kentucky's got. It's unreal. It's by far show that
Mark Anthony. Does that sound right, Mark Anthony?
I can't remember his name.
I think it's Mark Anthony. Yeah,
He was a wrestler, wasn't he?
I believe it was.
Yeah,
He's been into everything, but he's a.
Yeah, Goldberg was a wrestler. Goldberg was in the Cars Heavy.
All the guys that I don't know. They say he needs to lose a little weight. He's a little bit heavy to be jumping, but man, he'll lay it with it. Man, he just lays it with it. But I think they take now and they take a Crown Vic and they buy the body parts from a Dodge Charger and weld to the Vic and then paint it like the General Lee because you can't.
the car look bad. I would love to have me a General Lee car because I really enjoyed the show when I was a kid, but they've got, so I wouldn't mind having. I don't know why they don't take a Dodge Charger and make it like that. Maybe the trunk's too short,
Make it like what?
Make it into like the General.
Actually, when the Charger first came out, Albany Dodge in New York did a General Lee paint job on a was it 05 Dodge Charger when they first came out. They took a Hemi Charger, painted it orange, put the flag on the roof, and lettered it all up with the 01 on the door and everything. And it looked really cool.
I mean, I like the General Lee, but I don't want a General Lee, man. I like a black Dodge Charger, man. I guess like the Bullet car.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
I like black I'm all about that.
Like that one in Bullet.
I think
with the collection of hubcaps to go with it.
Man, every Curve it lost a hubcap. Then at the end, they were still on.
My T-Bird's been doing that. I finally put the darn wire wheel hubcaps back on because the Chevy hubcaps refused to stay on a Ford wheel.
Yeah.
Like 4 times I lost it. So forget it. Put I got to hunt around for a set of wheels for that car.
You never had to in all them old movies back then. They had to hire somebody to be the hubcap guy. And they're like,
it must have been just a hubcap.
The hubcap guy. Yeah, you go find the hubcaps.
He was like under the grip. They had a grip and then hubcap guy.
I get that my youngest son Robbie, when one comes into the shop, it's got a hubcap, and I end up usually taking over because these younger guys cannot get the finesse of putting the hubcap on.
Yeah,
they're over there fuming about to start coming out with some bad cuss words and everything, and I can come over there, that hubcap hammering about 2 licks. I've got it on.
Yeah, bunk, bunk, bunk. You just got to get that.
Them old Plymouth hubcaps, it's got the knock. I call them knockoffs, but in the center, they're about 40 pounds a piece. They're heavy. I mean, they're beautiful hubcaps, but boy, they're heavy. Man,
my dad bought a set of 15-inch Monte Carlo hubcaps. They look just like the early 70s Corvette hubcaps.
Right.
They were like almost like a turbine wheel thing with a bow tie in the center. And he bought a cheap set of them at a swap meet and stuck them on his car trailer to dress the trailer up. And they were heavy as can be. And we were coming home with the trailer and came up over this hill and all of a sudden bunk, 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 bunk. And we looked and this hubcap flew past us and bounced and then won off the side of the road and hit this tree. It was a tree about that big around, and it cut it and stuck in. And I had to get it back. I was like, "Holy crow!" My dad's like, "Yeah, we could have killed somebody if it came off."
I wonder how many joggers got took out in the 70s for them.
I can deal with joggers, but Copperhead, we live on the Unicoi Mountain. If you've ever watched Smoking the Bandit or Black Dog, that's the mountain that they shot that on, and it's curvy. And there's always in the summertime people riding bicycles on.
Oh God!
Yeah.
And I'm not kidding you. And it is the most frustrating thing because if you're from Hiawassee, you straighten. I don't know if you're familiar with straightening the curves out, but we go from one inside to the next inside and make the curve as straight as we can. And there's always a bike in the process of doing that. And I just think how fun it would be if you just had a big old long hickory just to smack them on the fanny. I think
They,
they now.
I don't know. They just love country roads, don't they? They over here you've got to be 2 meters or something.
Oh,
You got to
the
give them 2 meters or something, so you can't even overtake them. Like
Really?
legally, you like if they're riding along and you got like solid line, you can't even legally overtake them. Like you got to sit behind them,
Oh
and
my
they're allowed
God.
to run 2 abreast over here. So a motorbike's not allowed to ride 2 abreast on the road over here, but the push bikes can.
Oh,
We came over Blood Mountain one time, and there was a guy wearing all hot pink on a bike, and he was just staying right in the middle of the lane and would not get out of the way. And there was like 15 cars behind him, and it was like, come on, man! And he just like stayed right in the middle of the lane and would not move over to let anybody by. And it was like finally we got a chance to get around him, and it was my dad was with me. And I thought my dad was going to reach out and grab the guy and pull him to the
I mean, come on. But they do a lot of that here, man. But that's crazy. You can't take them on. Now, y'all got, I guess you got double yellow lines, and like we do, we got double yellow lines. And then if you can pass, you got the ones on the, I mean, y'all just got one line on your road.
Like if the line's broken, you can overtake. And then they'll have doubles. They might have a solid on one side and a broken on the other.
Right.
So if the broken's on my side, you can overtake. The solids,
that's how we are here, yeah.
or they might just have 2 solids.
Okay, same here. Yeah.
But you know the thing about it, like when we growed up, there's a lot of solid lines where used to be passing lanes back we were growing up, but they changed them and took them out.
Yeah.
But me being from, I guess, old school, I still pass, you know, because I always did. Of course, it'd be on a double yellow line, but I don't know what they do to you for that. Passing on a double, I guess there'd be a ticket, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The problem we have here is especially in the back roads here, is people don't stay on their side of the road at all. And it's like the other day I was coming home from work, and I was 4th back in line, and a guy in a big SUV came around the corner. Half his vehicle was in oncoming traffic lane, and he swerved, and I saw light underneath his rear tire. He swerved and had swerved back and caught it. And I thought for sure he was going to go over. I was like, man, that's what you get for someone's going to end up getting hit head on. The blind turns, and they're coming around. You know, I had one guy come at me on a blind turn. Half his vehicle was in my lane, and instead of moving over, he just waved to me as I went down the ditch to avoid him. Get out of neighbor. Geez, man.
I love that.
Like my town.
So nice once he waves.
Like, hey, buddy.
You going back to bicycles, you know, where they've got signs on the road here says, and they've got a picture of the bicycle and, you know, a stick riding the bicycle, and it says share the road. And I'm like, well, why don't they share the dang tax? I mean, look at all the dang tax that we're paying. You know, they've got the right of way and they didn't pay a damn thing for it. What, you know, that'd be like coming to my house. They'd have a right to come to my house to use the toilet and my toilet paper. You know, it's, you know, come on, get real, guys. You know, but I'm all part of it. But good.
And then people driving 55 in the hammer lane, man. That just, man, you talking about going 0 to mad.
Well, you know what I've said right here.
Are you familiar with the hammer lane? You know, you got passing lanes.
Yeah, so for us, it's the right hand lane's our. Yeah, so it's like keep left unless overtaking is what they say. So if it's off,
This is the way it is. Keep right unless overtaking. But
yeah,
I mean, like 55 on this one, 55 on that one, and they're just buzzing along, just like
they create a wall. It's like a moving wall. That's the worst.
You know what it is they've figured out. They think that it starts with an L. So is it the left lanes? Because we got a lot of elderly drivers here, and they might have a little dementia coming on. Well, left. Oh yeah, leisure. This is the leisure lane.
You know, Richard Petty back in the day, I don't know if y'all remember that or not, but he was on the 4-lane interstate going somewhere, and there was a little old lady in front of him dragging around, and he bumped her. And he got no trouble over that. Whatever red-blooded American wanted to do, bumper, man. You know what I'm saying?
I was behind this old guy one time. He was in this big old Lincoln, and he was just creeping, like 15 miles an hour. I was like, come on, man. And he finally puts his directional on to turn, and he turned so early for the turn, he went through the parking lot of the lot to the left of the intersection, through the dirt, back up on the thing, and the whole side of the car was just, it was like a golf ball. Everywhere was a dent on this car. So he just sidewalk surfed everywhere he went. All I could figure is he probably just pulled in and out of his garage, back down, throws it in drive, and didn't find the accelerator. It was like he never even touched the gas pedal. He just let it idle everywhere he went. Man, it was awful. It was so early for the turn.
I don't know, man. I get so frustrated with these people. It's just mind-boggling. But y'all got a lot of weird rules down there in Australia. I mean, even from tire sizes and on. I mean, y'all can't do a whole lot, can you?
Nah, we're that over policed. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Is it pretty? Is the law, traffic laws, pretty universal across the whole country, or is there different? Like here, we have different things where.
They're pretty much. There's a few. Each state has their own little thing. Like in New South, they're really strict on that overtaking lane thing. Like if you're in that lane and you're not overtaken, you're getting pulled over. Whereas other states are a bit more lax on it. And like I think Northern Territory, I don't think they have a speed limit on certain roads.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be anyway. Like you could go as fast as you wanted, but if your car touched the line, then you'll get fined, sort of thing. Like, because then you're unsafe. Like, so yeah. But generally they're all pretty much the same.
What is the speed limit down there? What is the speed limit, just a general?
110.
That's okay. That's
I don't know.
75, 80.
Yeah, it would be 75, I think.
Yeah, so we have.
I think 60 mile an hour is like 95 kilometers. So.
Right.
Yeah, so we have some of the western states have speed limit 75, 80, but most of the stuff on the eastern side of the country is 70 or less on the highways, and usually around town stuff is usually, the local highways are usually 55 or under.
Yeah.
But there's
so like we have like in the build up areas it's 50, either 50 or 60 kilometers.
Okay.
So that's like 30 mile an hour, I think.
Yeah, we have
I think 38 miles, 60k. So I think 30 miles, probably 50, and then they have an 80k zone, which is like 50 mile an hour, and then they have the 100 or 110.
Yeah, see, we have different equipment issues in different states. Pennsylvania rescinded it, but for a long time, Pennsylvania you had to have fenders. You couldn't have a fenderless hot rod.
We got you can't. You have to have fenders on all the hot rods that get built. Have to have fenders.
Yeah, some states you can't have wheelie bars on your car. You can't have a nitrous bottle. I think in Tennessee you can't have a nitrous bottle.
Right, so that's where the rules are. Each, like with hot rods, each state has different rules. So if I was to buy a hot rod from, say, Victoria, I might not be able to get it registered up where I am.
Okay.
So in Queensland, they're really strict on the hot rods. That's like, so they want to inspect them. Like I can't even paint the chassis. I've got to weld out all the chassis and have it as a roller, and then have them come and inspect it and weld test it and everything and go over it all. And then you can pull it apart, paint it, put it back together, and then you got to like do your body mount. So like this one behind me is meant to go through that, but I'm just building it and worry about it.
How much is that? How much do they charge you for that? That's a ticket right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't worked that out. That'd be dear, but it'll probably be $500 each time, I'd say.
I used to be in a used car business, and you could buy wrecks and build them back in the day, but then they changed the law on that where you actually had to be in a body shop, you had to own a body shop and go through a bunch of hoops to build cars, wrecks. And I don't know, Johnny, you're familiar with that. We found out that all your rental companies, like, what are some of the big rental car companies like?
The Avis and
Enterprise, they're self-insured. So if they got a car that's been hit, they're self-insured and they're not considered totaled. So you could buy them all day long and build them. They'd still be totaled, but they would not be registered as totaled. Yep. And we found that out. And then, of course, when we found it out, not long after that, everybody else started finding it out, which made the prices go through the roof. You know how that works.
Sure.
Yeah. But they got, I reckon, I know a guy that bought a car that was totaled and he was going to build it. And when he got it tore down and got ready to do it, he found out that they'd cut the car in two and put two cars together and then screwed it together with sheet metal screws. That's how they put that car together, with sheet metal screws.
I know a guy from Massachusetts that he had a big radical rat rod custom that he built. It was like a 50. I'm trying to remember what it was. Might have been a Cadillac. You know, it was a big 50s car. It was chopped and sectioned, and I mean, really, it was ratty as can be. And someone said to me one time, he says, you know, he cut that car in half and shipped it over to Sweden, and then welded it back together and drove it around. I said, really? He goes, yeah, he did it to save shipping. So I ended up meeting the guy, and I said, man, I heard a rumor you cut the car in half. He goes, no, that's not what happened. He said, actually, I cut it into 4. And they said, so it would fit in the shipping container, and then welded it back together and drove it around. Then he cut it back up into 4 sections and shipped it back to the States and welded it back together. Like, good Lord, I do not want to get in that car at all.
Well, now they do that. I got a buddy that, of course, he lives in Sweden now, but he lived here back then, and we shipped a lot of cars, but they'd tear them all to pieces and ship them as parts. He wouldn't cut them in 2, but
cheaper to ship them that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually had which I wished I'd never sold it. He stayed on me, but I had a 64 Belvedere Post, you know, the Post car.
Yeah.
And he kept on and on. This little 318 car, and so I finally sold it to him, and he put a 426 Hemi down in it, and then shipped that thing over to Sweden. And I mean, it bought major bucks, you know, because it's a postcard to begin with, and he built it like that. But now that's a big thing. Sweden, they love them cars. They love you know, man, that's a big deal. But I think I ain't heard anything out of him in a couple of years. I know he had cancer there for a while, but that's the way they do it. And you know, that's like jeans. If you just get jeans, you can buy cheap jeans and send over there. We could buy $1, $2 a pair back then. They give $25, $30 for them just because they were jeans, and it wouldn't be stuff like you couldn't give away here, you know. But just anyway, he I reckon the last thing he come up with was selling chicken necks. Don't sell chicken. We found it's illegal. He said, man, we can buy chicken necks for nothing. He said, we can send them things. I said, I don't know, man. He was always a wheeler dealer, but
whatever works, I guess.
Yeah. I wish I'd had that car back, man. It was sure enough a sweet car. It was a 64 Plymouth Belvedere, which is might have been a 65. I guess it's the one that had the pretty front end on it. I guess 65.
Okay.
I bought that thing, but back then, them things has got a pump in the transmission in the 65 and 64, and it's automatic. And you can roll them things up. You can go about 20 miles an hour. They'll roll off. You can roll off like you do a stick shift.
Yeah. It's the quick start deal torque plates, right?
Yeah. No, it was just regular automatic, but it had a pump in the back of the transmission somehow.
Oh, really?
You get that thing at about 15, 20 miles an hour, and you can roll her off. We did it.
Dodge had those weird transmissions in the 50s that were like designed for drunk people to drive them. They had like you put it in second gear and it would start off in first, and you just push the clutch in and let it go, and it would upshift into second on it without having to touch the shifter. And then you had to physically shift it into third, but you could stop in third and it would automatically take off in second gear. It was like they call them the.
That don't sound like nothing that sounds too complicated for us.
My dad had it in a 50 Dodge convertible that he had, and it was like, I was like, man, this thing was like designed by drunk people to drive. You know, it was like you could use the clutch if you wanted to. You shift it if you needed to, or maybe not. And
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It was the fluid drive, I think, as they called it.
Yeah, but it had a clutch on it. Yeah. No, let's see. It was a
3-speed manual.
It was a six with a. How was that? Because you could pull up and stop and leave it in gear, and it just sat there.
Yeah.
But it was a stick shift. Yeah, I know exactly.
And it would start if you left it in third gear. It would start off in second. And it would automatically upshift into third again. But if you manually pulled it down to first, you had to shift it into second. It's something weird. I can't remember now. It's been a lot of years since I drove that thing, but I just remember it was like, use the clutch if you need to or if you want to, and you could stop and it would sit there and idle like any automatic. But
you know, there's a guy where Hayesville had a automatic Volkswagen was like that. It had the stick shift, but you didn't have a clutch. I don't know how that thing worked.
My dad had one of those. He said it was awful, terrible on gas too.
But you actually changed the gears like you did a manual.
But there was no clutch.
It was just a bug, automatic bug.
Well, before they had
Mercs have them too, a clutchless manual.
Yeah, and for a while that was the hot ticket for drag racing. Is before they came up with good torque converters, they would do they call them clutch flights or clutch turbos, where they put a clutch in place of the torque converter, so you would launch the car with the clutch pedal, and then you just shift it automatically.
Is that like a Lenco or something?
Lenco is kind of like that now, I guess. But it's before they would do it with the with torque flights and turbo 400 Chevy transmissions. And I remember seeing one for sale, but I guess when I started reading up on them, they said once they got good torque converters, they made those obsolete because they would just multiply the torque better. And And but I always thought it'd be kind of cool to be able to push the clutch in and rev it to whatever RPM you wanted to launch the car, and then just shift it without a clutch. But and like you said, Lenkos are like that now. You just pull levers with the Lenko. I guess with the Lenko, you're disengaging. You're not engaging. Everything starts off engaged. So when you shift from first to second, you're actually disengaging first gear and letting second take over. And then you disengage second to let third take over, if I'm not mistaken. You're taking each one out until it's in high gear.
Well, some of them top fuel dragsters, man, they don't do nothing but just mash the gas. I mean, it's
top fuel is just direct drive. It's just a
but I mean, they don't do anything. I mean, I don't know what you do in 3 seconds anyway, but I'm just saying they just boom, they're gone.
Yeah, they got a clutch assembly that's about seven different plates, and there's different weights on it. The thing looks like a work of art when you're looking at them, and it's direct drive. And as they're designed to slip a certain amount until they fully engage to help control tire spin, and their gearing is all changed by the growth of the tire. They'll grow about 8 inches down a quarter mile.
Well, y'all gonna think I'm crazy, but one thing we like to do when we go to the drag race, when they take the cars back and they tear them down, they build them, put them back together, and they tune them in. They got them sitting there and they rev them up, and all that fumes is coming off the back of them. We stand back there. We stand back there and see who can last the longest.
Yeah, that's a challenge, man. It is.
It's a challenge.
I've got it videotaped, and you can see in the videos. You see, also people start just scattering. They start getting.
Hey, I'll let you in on a little secret on that. Whenever you're smelling, when you're around a nitromethane car that gets cranked up, don't breathe out of your nose. If you inhale and exhale out of your mouth, you can stay there and breathe it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. We tried everything. Man.
I've been to.
I knew one guy that would go.
I've been to enough of them. Yeah, I've been to enough of them races.
It's crazy, but I guess it's rednecks have cheap fun. Yeah.
You was talking about the clutch. They say that the clutch man on them teams makes the most money out of all the mechanics.
Well, it's a lot to it, man.
Huh?
Do what now? Say that one more time.
The guy that does the clutch
What'd
on
you
them
say?
top fuel cars is the one that makes the most money out of the rest of the mechanics. And when they come in,
Really?
when they come in and pull them clutches out, they're almost glowing red when they're tearing that down, making for the next pass.
It's the first
set of clutches.
It's 7 plates, and the first 3 or 4 will actually weld themselves together in the course of a run.
Yeah, I've got one of the plates at the shop that I got from Doug Coletta's car, and he had the pass that he made with that clutch. He set a record down there at Atlanta, but I think the record was broke the next year. But it was a record pass with it.
What's the fastest they're turning now? I mean, they broke 300 miles.
They're doing like 336, I think it's something like that.
But it's just in 1,000 foot though. It ain't a quarter mile.
Yeah, 1,000 feet. They'll accelerate in the first half a second. They'll accelerate more than the length of their own car, and they'll be doing 70 miles an hour in less than a half a second.
They're putting more G's, they say, than they do these rockets they're shooting to space.
Oh yeah, they're talking 4 or 5 G's on a pass. It's and even deceleration can be real dangerous. Don Garlick's had to have his retinas reattached because of the deceleration. Stretch his eyeballs until it detaches the retinas.
Mm-hmm. You ever been down to his museum?
What's that?
You been down to his museum?
Yo, that's an awesome museum, man. That's the best museum ever.
I guarantee you, it's cool. He's got some neat stuff.
Yeah, it was. I had a chance to sit down and talk with him a couple times, and he's a pretty cool guy to talk to. Someone told me, he said, ask him about aliens, and I almost forgot that we go into his office. He's got alien stuff all over, and I said, oh yeah, lady at the front desk said I'm supposed to ask you about aliens. He says, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told the Florida Sentinel. I don't believe in aliens. I know about aliens.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I gotcha.
Probably does.
Yeah. It's I guess if you go that fast, you catch up to anything. What's that?
Shape shifters and all that,
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
they're among us. They're among us. They're here.
Yeah.
That's just like Sasquatch.
Look at Conrad laughing down there. He's laughing down there. It's already Halloween for him. We got another couple hours before we get Halloween.
Drop phase.
Do y'all do anything for how? Well, see, they're not going into the fall. They're not celebrating the fall because they're going into winter right now.
Yeah, well, you're going into spring, right?
No, we're in spring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spring. That's what I meant.
Right.
Spring.
Yeah.
I'm coming down there, man. I hate winter.
So
Oh,
do
it's
you guys-
stinking at the moment. It's like, well, we're in Queensland. It's really, really humid. So 35 degrees Celsius. So I don't know what that is, 90 something. That's because the humidity is through the roof. That is stinking. So where I was from in Adelaide, it's like 40. We'll get to 45 degrees, 50 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
But it's a different heat. It's a dry heat. Like the humidity up here, like just knocks you around. So
Oh,
Do you guys celebrate
at the
Halloween?
moment, we're going through our little. This is like our wet season, so it's stinking hot, and then it will thunderstorms and hail comes through, and then it's like be stinking hot again the next day. And
Do y'all have tornadoes?
no,
You don't have
Wow.
no tornadoes?
what do they call them? No, in Queensland they do. They have, what do they call them? Hurricanes.
What?
okay.
Hurricanes.
Okay, that's different than a tornado.
Yeah.
What is it?
Tornado comes, or a hurricane comes from the ocean. A tornado will just come up.
That's
with
like a little
thunderstorms.
whirly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tornado.
Yeah, there you go.
No, we just get hurricanes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get tornadoes that tornadoes come up without any warning, and they'll a lot of times they're a lot smaller than a hurricane, but they usually generally move at a much faster speed. You know, come through it. You know, they'll pick up cows and stuff.
So you get them in Georgia.
No,
Yeah.
not so
In
much. I mean,
Georgia,
occasionally, but very rarely. You know, there's usually that's a little bit more west of us. As you know, the midwestern part of the United States is the tornado capital of the world. You know, they'll get
Like Oklahoma and stuff, yeah?
yeah.
It used to be. We used to have a few around here, but we don't have many trailer parks now, so they don't come around.
They follow the trailer parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got rid of the trailer parks. That's where they always start. They start a trailer park and they end in a trailer park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we call them tornado towns for a reason.
I think God hates trailer parks. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about tornadoes is when one comes through, I don't care if it goes through. If it went through New York City, they would go out there and they'd interview some redneck with no teeth whatsoever.
Every time.
Well, he's usually in his underwear.
Well,
too.
I was sitting there on the porch and I heard a train coming.
And if there isn't
trains around here,
if there isn't a redneck there, the tornado will bring it in just for the interview.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
Like, holy smokes! I was sitting in Oklahoma and now I'm here in upstate New York. What's going on?
Yeah, they always get the dumbest guy to interview. You know, I don't know what the deal is with that.
Yeah.
That is funny. Yeah. The
Yeah.
hurricanes here, man, they get hurricanes. Y'all do like when y'all got hurricanes, everybody just go buy plywood and they're ready.
You guys, there's cyclones down there, right?
Cyclones, I suppose. I think that's what they call. I don't know what they call.
Yeah.
One of the two. Might be cyclones.
South of the equator is cyclones. North of the equator is
Yeah, it's
hurricanes.
the same
Or
thing, but
typhoons.
it's just call them
Typhoon,
something.
yeah, that's right. Typhoon is Pacific Ocean. Hurricane is Atlantic Ocean, and then cyclones are south of the equator.
So is it true, like up here, when you flush your toilet, the water goes this way, and when you're below the equator, it goes that way? You ever heard that?
I have heard that. I don't know. What way did yours? I'll go suss it out later. I'll let you know which way it's been.
I don't even know. I think it goes this way.
It's
Ours
Corey.
goes- Ours goes
Doesn't matter, I'll have a
clockwise,
look.
don't it?
I'll have a look later.
Yeah, take a check. I'll check it out. So, oh wow, I don't know. That's what I've always heard. Like that's the information we really need. Oh yeah, okay.
So, do you guys do Halloween down there?
I don't. We don't. But it's they're starting to do it a
Oh,
bit,
really?
but not like you guys do.
Yeah.
When I was little, no,
Really?
they didn't do anything.
Oh,
But
so
like
you- when we were
now they
kids,
do.
it was huge.
I think, but we don't. I don't do nothing.
Yeah.
I know
I
down,
think it's funny.
down the reserve thing down there, they've got all these little people have taken their little Halloween scarecrow looking things down for a display or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So normally, if people are gonna do on it, they say to leave the lights on or something. I don't know, but yeah,
They started doing this thing here that when we were kids, I always thought it was kind of odd that for the whole year, 364 days of the year, they tell you don't take candy from strangers, and then that one night a year you get dressed up and go take candy from every stranger in the neighborhood. And now they've changed it, made it even worse. Now they do this thing called trunk or treat instead of just trunk or treat. So now it's go take candy from strangers from the trunk of their car.
Yeah.
And it's like,
really.
yeah, it's kind of weird. That's like a big thing.
Oh,
Because
but-
our neighborhoods are so spread out that it's not like the kids don't walk the neighborhoods. So what they do is they usually like a church will sponsor something, and they'll have all the cars, or even the schools will do it, where the cars will set up in the parking lot. And they'll decorate the trunk of the car, kind of spooky, and then the kids go around in the costumes and make their rounds. And I just, it's like, man, like teach the kids to take candy from strangers into strange cars.
Did any ever go missing?
No, everybody seems to. I think the coolest thing to do would be set up one of those things we have to get one of Sean's vans and just put free candy on the side and sit there with on here.
Yeah, that's another thing. I would never do that with one of my vans, trying to get away from that stigmata.
I drive a school bus full time. I'm a full-time school bus driver. So I get a lot of my kids off the bus that come here at my house. We have a big blowout here at the house. I live right on the main road where my house is at, and it's got like a circle drive. And used to they'd come through, but my wife, she's a big cook, so she cooks all this stuff and sausage, biscuits, and all that. So they usually go and do all what they call trunk or treat and getting stuff out of kids' trunk or guys' trunks or who's ever trunks. Then they end up here at the end of the night and everybody sits around and eats. Sean's coming down tomorrow. He's bringing, what are you bringing? You told me and I forgot.
I'm bringing some pulled pork and some Brunswick stew.
Yeah, we just got a big party. Yeah.
I think Copperhead just dropped his stuff. He's heading up. He'll be here tomorrow too.
Yeah.
We're not devil
pulled pork, man. Pulled pork. I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, of course, I'm not going to say the name of the business, but this is an old barbecue recipe that used to be sold in Hiawassee that I've got, and that's what I made, Stephen. Since you didn't get to try it, but I'm bringing that barbecue, and
I'm ready.
Yeah, I smoked the butts basically all day yesterday. I was up until late. It's all hickory. I smoked it with hickory. I've got to where I like that hickory on the butts the best. But the Brunswick stew, of course.
You a butt man?
It was how he was raised. It's all those hickory switches when he was a kid. Now he likes hickory on his butts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really enjoy cooking, and but I like to make sure that it's good. When somebody eats something that I've cooked, I either want them to really hate it or really love it and remember it. And of course, when you're feeding people for free, you don't really know if you're getting the truth out of them or not.
No, they're gonna tell you it's good anyway. That's what I think. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Copperhead, man, your little truck's coming along good. Now that rear end you put in that thing, that's a Jaguar? I'm not that familiar with Jaguar.
Yeah.
But what did that come out of?
Jaguar.
Which
the inboard disc brakes?
XJ6, I think. Yeah, inboard brakes, yeah.
Now that
the XJ6 is a 6-cylinder, right?
Yeah.
Is that the 2-door?
So if that motor is any kind of a motor at all, it won't take much to shell that thing out, will it?
What do you mean?
Well, the horsepower. Maybe you should have had one of them 12s, the 12-cylinder rear ends to put in. Are there any difference in them?
No, I don't think. I don't know. There's a heap of different ratios. I don't know what ratio we got.
You might have the Land Speed Bonneville Salt Flats rear end in
right.
The Land Speed record.
Yeah, for long distance, all right. This is a cruiser. This is going to be a cruiser, this one. This one's just going to drive nice and be comfy. And
right.
See it?
Oh, yeah, it looks good, man. Looks good.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a 2-door Jaguar or a 4-door Jaguar you got that out of?
It came with the car, so I don't know. It would have probably come out of either probably a 4-door. Yeah.
Now what's a little 2-door?
There's a heap of them. The same diff pretty much comes out in heaps and heaps and heaps of them.
Right. I bought an XJ6, I think it was, which was a little 2-door. It was a 2-door. Maybe it was XJ12. I don't know. But anyway, I bought it for nothing at the auction because the transmission was out of it. And so I got the car home and freaking out about what to do about the transmission. But I got such a cheap, got it for nothing. And after I got it home, the dang thing had a 350 Chevrolet turbo transmission in. That's what it come with, the 350 Chevrolet. That's what they do. Does the ones y'all have, they have the turbo 350s in them? Chevrolet transmission?
I don't know. They could have. I do know that the rear ends are all got all Chev components and Ford components and all sorts in them.
Yeah.
The diff itself is think it's Salisbury.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, Salisbury's over there, don't you?
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I think the diff center's a Salisbury. And then it has a Ford 9-inch front yoke for the uni joint on it. And it has, so they're a bit of a mixed bag. So I don't know about the Transers, but I do know they throw Chevy, they rip those motors out and throw Chevs in them.
Yeah, they do that a lot, and I think that's because it's got a Chevrolet transmission in them.
Make it easy.
Could
My
be.
buddy did a V8 swap.
I've never heard anybody associate something fast and then end it with the word Jaguar.
I'm gonna tell you, man, I like the looks of them a little.
They were
I-
fans. I mean, they did a lot of road racing with them.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
good.
they handle that. That's why everyone uses these front and rears, because they're very good
That was a hot
suspension.
ticket. Yeah, that was a hot ticket in the 70s. That was a big thing, is Jaguar suspensions and Model Ts and everything. It was,
Well, you know, they talk about the Austin Healey's back in the day was supposed to be super fast on the track, that they would outrun cars technically with triple the horsepower, but because they were so weak that you didn't even have to lift, you could hold them wide open all the way around the track. And the
nimble.
cars, you know, the car's overall speed would be faster than what somebody else's straightaway speed would be. And kind of maybe that's what the Jaguar stuff was, you know, like.
They remember who was it? It was Jan and Dean wrote that song, Dead Man's Curve. It was Stingray versus a Corvette XKE. A Corvette Stingray versus the XKE. The XKEs were fast little cars with the V12s in them and stuff.
Well, the V12, they ran that at Bathurst and it won.
Yeah.
Did it?
You know Bathurst, don't you? You got heard of that? Yeah. So the V12 come down for a couple of years with that Tom Walkinshaw in it, and they won. Yeah. They beat. I think the Mustang might have been there then. The Fox body Mustang. I think Dick Johnson had the Fox body Mustang.
Yeah.
And I think even it was might have been against the Nissan GTRs and stuff too, and it beat them.
Okay.
Back in 87, it was 87 or 88. I went down here to Road Atlanta. My brother-in-law, actually, to this day, he still runs the wrecker service down there at the track when they're racing. His stuff stays down there. But anyway, they had a Firehawk GT class. It was a Firestone Firehawk GT class, and them cars was really the true stock car of the day. It had to have the radio in it and everything. They would let them balance and blueprint the motor, and that's all that they could do to them. And they had to run street tires. Of course, they'd shave the tread off the Firehawks and make slicks out of them. But when it started raining, all they did was put the regular treaded street tires on it. But the BMWs, when I was down there, there was IROC Camaros and BMWs, and I'm we're sitting in the rollback, in case a wreck happened. And the EMS guys was there, and then there was it wasn't during the race, but anyway, I talked to one of them guys that run one of the teams. And I asked him, I said, how come there's no Ford Mustangs out here? He said that Ford guys won't drive with these guys because everybody uses them Mustangs as bumper cars. They just use them to bump off of to stay in the track. Because the Mustangs wouldn't handle at that particular time. But
I'd rather have a little less horsepower than I had a car that wouldn't handle. You know what, you talk about that, like I had that little 67 Plymouth Barracuda, 344 speed, man, that thing would go. But when you come to a curve, man, I mean, you were nervous because you didn't know if you was gonna make it or not. I mean,
you had to throw the boat anchor out, huh?
Oh my Lord, yeah. I mean, honestly, you had all that power, but you couldn't hold it in a 10-acre field. It was just straight line on you. And then when you get into something like a Jag, and you just zip around or Corvette or something like that, man. The drive is so much better.
You'll attest to this, Steve. Those C4 Corvettes, I think, are probably one of the most underrated vehicles out there.
I agree with that.
My daughter's car, it's like her car is probably making about 3 1/4, 330 horse because we did a few things to it, and it's just so well balanced. It does everything well. It's not the fastest thing around. It doesn't handle the best compared to the new stuff, but the car is so well balanced with the power it's got. It's a fun car. It's comfortable, and you can toss it around, and it does exactly what you want it to do. And it's very
forgiving. Yeah, it's forgiving.
The C3 Vets wasn't that good though. I had one of them.
I've got a C3 too. I got a C3 too, and it's. I mean, as far as the looks, is daylight and dark. The C3 is just gorgeous, but now the C4, as far as handling, I drive that C4 a lot. That's probably one of my favorite cars to ride around in because I enjoy that thing so much. That's like we went that autocross up there, and that guy that was like first time I ever been there, and the guy in front of me, he had that Porsche. If y'all watch that video, you'll see that Porsche. He autocrossed all the time, and he's like, okay, do this, do that, do the other. He pulled I think a 43 or 44 second through that course, and I pulled first time I ever run, and my lowest number was a 37 in that Corvette, and he was running a Porsche and done it before.
The C3 Corvettes were the same suspension as the C2s. They did a few refinements through the years, but they're basically the same frame and everything. They just with a couple of different changes. So you got, the C3s were really old technology by the time the C4s came out.
What I find out about a C, and that's the thing about it, everybody talks about, okay, I don't know if you know Walking Tall, if you ever watched the movie Walking Tall, but the guy that was up there, what was his name?
Buford T. Just.
No,
I'm thinking of Smoking the Bandit.
Buford Pusser, yeah, and they thought he was killed. Somebody killed him, but he wrecked a lot. But he had that same Corvette, and he come where he's going so fast, and then he went off and rolled over. But
it was a big block car too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
his was a big block Corvette.
They bounce if you're not careful on them things. They bounce. Like when you go into a curve, that thing wants to. It'll set, but then it'll set again. But the second time it sets is when it actually sets. So it's kind of like it squats and then it sets. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And you have to get used to that second bite because you think you're losing it. Then you'll oversteer trying to straighten it up, but it's really just kind of sitting in there. But it's a weird thing to drive. So I run it 65 and 70. I just cruise in the 82, but now the 87, I get on down with it. I had
a 73 that big block 4-speed car. The thing was fast, man. And so, it had dual quads coming up through the hood, and I'd launch the car about 4,000 RPM, and it would squat so hard I'd lose sight of the road. I couldn't see over the fenders of the hood, and
that's what funny. And then they'll bounce up, man. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, and they dig in, and the boy, thing would go. I'd line up the telephone poles, and first gear you couldn't see the road. Second gear would start to plane out. You could start to see the asphalt again, and the car was quick. And
I built a 74 4-speed, and right before I sent it off to the paint shop to get painted, after I got it running good and everything, I turned some donuts in it, and I was freaked out about how fast that car went around and around. I was expecting it to really hook better than what it hooked.
Yeah. But if I remember right, the wheelbase on those years, I think, is only 98 inches. It's pretty short wheelbase.
My
dad's got a 74 that is built as a gasser. He's got a blown big block in it and a narrow 9-inch.
Don't you have? Didn't you say you had a Corvette or two?
Yeah, I got a C4.
What model is yours?
C4 84.
You had it
for sure. Yeah.
The one with the
Crossfire.
Yeah, the Crossfire thing.
Them motors
it's actually my wife. So she bought that. An American came over here for work and bought that brand new and brought it over pretty much within the first 6 months owning it, and was in Australia for a year, and then went back to America and sold the car. So he had it converted to right-hand drive over here, and then so she bought it. It was like 18 months old.
Wow! So she's had it ever since.
Yeah, and she's had it ever since.
So how many miles? Low miles?
We've it probably hasn't been driven in. I was the last person to drive it, and that would have been 7 years ago, I reckon.
Wow!
So it's got a brand new motor in it.
Is it a low miles car?
I had the motor redone, and then it wouldn't have even done 1,000 kilometers, and it's just been parked up. But I went to go fire it up the other day, and a month or so ago, and like the rats got into it, and the fuel pump had shit itself. I think I couldn't get fuel up, so I think the fuel pump went on it.
They probably chewed the wires.
Well,
I went through all the wiring. I think I've got all that fixed, but I've got power to the fuel pump, but I don't think it's pumping. So, and then that one model's fuel pump is like $400 or something stupid.
Is it really?
Yeah, it was real deal. It was just that one model, that 1 year, I think, with that. It's a different fuel pump than all the others, and it's like 3 times the freaking price.
Yeah, I think it was a different. Well, you might want to check 82. They had crossfire injection in 82 and 84. So I don't. It'd be a different gas tank though. So
Yeah, it'd be different all the way around.
Yeah.
$172 is
Hey,
what I've got
don't
right here.
feel bad about that $400 for a fuel pump. I've got $300 just in the fuel line from a mechanical fuel pump to them two carburetors on that.
Well, the thing is with the car is we're getting old, so it's getting in a Corvette's pretty freaking hard nowadays.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
so,
don't know.
like, out of all the cars I've got, like we're talking about it because it's been sitting, so we've got to go over and do all this, redo suspension. I think it needs a wheel bearing, and then it needs tires and this and that. And then I'm like, do we want to sink all that money into this thing? And then it's like, well, it needs to be repainted really. And so then it's like, I said, I don't want to drive it. I said, I've got all these other, my car, I don't want to freaking get in and drive it. I'm too old to freaking get in the thing. Like,
Yeah,
I'd rather jump in one of these ones.
I know, but when you get in a Corvette, you feel like you're 70. But when you're riding down the road, you feel like you're 15. Now it's worth it to me, man.
So
Well,
The hardest ones to get into, that's for sure.
Was
The big thing
when you're
about
sitting
this
on the
big-
back wheels, like when you if you mash the throttle, it would like snake, you know,
Yeah.
up. But it felt because you're sitting on the back wheels, it felt like you were about to lose it
Mhm.
because you felt like you were so crossed up, but you actually were nowhere near
Right.
losing it yet. Because we're in four doors all the time, we're sitting a lot further forward. So you're not. Does that make sense? I felt like it felt like you'd be really, really badly sideways, but you actually weren't.
Mhm.
So it was a little bit weird to get used to driving it.
Yeah.
Here's my dad.
But it seemed to it handled nice, like as in
Oh, that was wicked.
That's a good.
like hitting roundabouts. Like I didn't even have to touch the brakes.
Mhm.
What's that one?
That's a 65, 64. What model is that? 60. What model is that?
64.
Is that yours?
That's my dad's.
Wow, he must be rich.
He must be.
He's not because he has cars like that.
Yeah, he must be rich.
It's now he's got all his money tied up in cars like that. He doesn't have any extra money, so he's not rich.
I'd love
So
it.
in that Corvette, I can't even wear shoes.
Oh, really?
I got to drive the thing barefooted
No kidding.
because if I'm wearing shoes, my feet can't get on the pedals properly.
Really?
Is it a 4-speed car?
No, it's an auto, but it's right-hand drive, and like, yeah, I don't know.
They didn't. That floorboard probably, I'd say that motor and stuff set over towards that side.
Yeah, at least the mid years and C3s did. And because you're right-hand drive, it's probably still the same location. So your foot box on what would be our passenger side is tighter than So
The left-hand side would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's only like
Yeah.
I don't know, 10 inches max.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah, so you
I've
got
got big whopping,
That's just like the Dodge B vans that I mess with. If they set them over there and did a right-hand conversion on them,
That'd be
you
terrible.
have no pedal room on that right-hand side
yeah,
because they
you
set
almost
that
have to sit
motor
with your
way
feet-
over.
Yeah, you
They
almost
set
have to
that
place your
motor
feet on
up.
top of each other when you're sitting on the passenger side of on the
Yeah.
right-hand side of those vans.
Yeah, so I find I have to have no shoes and I drive it 2-footed. I have issues just even driving it 1-footed because I'll touch the brake a bit with the accelerator or I'll touch it. So I just have to drive it 2-footed, keep them separate, and
Yeah, that wouldn't be a pleasure to drive really like that.
I don't mind driving 2-footed because I drive the race car 2-footed, so
Right.
that doesn't bother me. But
I drive my minivan with 2 feet. I know it sounds crazy, but just a habit. And I don't do it on purpose. I just, I'm driving 2-footed.
Do you drive the school bus 2-footed?
I do. I guess I do. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
wonders they didn't fail your driver's test.
I don't
1
know.
foot.
They probably said if they didn't want to take another test with me. They're like, I'm passing him. My God.
And I had a friend of mine that used to take his left foot and put it on the ceiling of his Volkswagen Jetta and drive it stick shift with his foot on the ceiling, and just so he just stuck that thing way up in the air, and it was the weirdest thing, man. He used to go down the road with his foot on the ceiling. And
Please tell me you don't hang out with him anymore. Please, God, tell me you don't hang out with him anymore.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah.
I don't use a gear. I mean, honestly, that's another thing. I'll use a clutch to take off with at a red light, but after that, I just shift. I
Yeah,
don't
just
use
synchronize it and
just
yeah.
go.
I
don't know.
tell you what's real confusing is to drive a wheelchair equipped car that's total hand control.
Yeah, that'd be something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I've had to move plenty of them around and road test them, in my shop, and it's you know how to apply the brake with your leg pressure. You know what your pressure's feeling like hitting the
Sure.
brake, but with your hand and stuff like that, it's all awkward feeling until you get used to
So-
it. I've done enough of them now, but
I used to fix car, like smash car. I used to do Suzuki Swifts. I used to specialize in them. Yeah, I don't know if you have them over there or not, but
I think
little,
so.
Yeah,
little
we have.
Suzuki hatchbacks. And so they use them over here for like driving schools cars. And so they'll have the pedals on the left-hand side as well.
Really?
Okay.
So for the instructor, so the instructor can hit the brake or whatever. So I bought one, and it was one of them, and it'd been smashed, and I couldn't get into the driver's side. The driver's side was stoved in.
Mhm.
So I was sitting in the passenger side, using the 3 pedals on the passenger side and steering it.
Another.
You was practicing to be a mailman, wasn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bit of fun driving that down the street.
Yeah. We've
My
got a
dad's
lot
got-
of we've got a lot of mail carriers over here that they'll drive. See, all the mails over here is delivered on the right hand side. So the true mail cars are right hand drive over here.
Mhm. Yeah.
But a lot of your mail guys that's driving their own personal cars and getting mileage, the mailman that I've got that runs this route that at my residential, he drives a left-hand car, but he sits on the right-hand side of the road, on the right-hand side of the seat, just using his left hand to steer the mail car. And they get pretty good at it. I mean, the feller's never had a wreck, as far as I know, driving like that.
Now, Copperhead, my daddy's got a little car he drives all the time and loves it. It's a Suzuki X90. Do y'all have that? It's like a blip. I mean, it's just a little bitty.
It's a 2-door.
It's a little 2-door X90. I don't
What year?
It's a 2-seater.
80, I don't know, probably 90.
Oh, two-seater.
All right, now Stephen, you got to tell this story. When your
What is
dad
it?
very first got that,
Yeah, a little X90.
when he very first got it, you tell them
It's a
what you
little
did to
bitty
your
car.
daddy now.
I wish I could show you a picture of it somehow. but
Might be
anyway.
an Alto. There's a Swift, and then there's a smaller one's called an Alto over here.
This is like a little 4-wheel drive pickup.
It's
slash-
just a
Oh.
2-seater.
Yeah,
We have
2-seater.
one called an SX4.
It's Suzuki.
Uh,
Is that
Anyway,
a-
Steve,
that's like a hatchback, but a 4-wheel drive hatchback weird thing.
no, it's got a little sawed off top right behind the 2 seats.
Oh, rightio. I think they call that a
Oh, yeah,
Sierra.
that's right. A little like bubble roof on it.
Yeah.
And that was it.
So when Stephen's dad
Looks like a
first
Jeep.
gets this thing,
Yeah, kind of like a Jeep, little rounded looking Jeep.
Yeah, but they're a fixed roof, right? The roof doesn't come off on them.
They got T-tops.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah, he bought that little car, and when he did,
yeah,
I'd sneak down there about every day or two, and I'd put 2 or 3 gallons of gas in it without him knowing it.
he was trying to check the mileage where he first bought it.
See how much of miles? He's like, I'm getting 60 miles a gallon in this thing. Yeah, he'd run a little. I'd go down, put a little more fuel in it, and he'd be like, God, I'm up to 65 miles a gallon. Everything doesn't get that kind of fuel mileage, man. Anyway, somebody told him what I was doing, but yeah, that was so
Yeah.
funny.
I didn't tell on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody would come over here. You ever seen one of these? Stephen would go, you want to take a ride in it? And Stephen would take them up there to the gas station, put $2 or $3 in it.
That is so funny.
I don't never see him driving it. Does he still have it?
Yeah, he drives it every now and then. Let's see. I'm gonna try to see if I can get. I don't know if I can put this thing. It says I can. I don't remember how to do it. Upload. Let's see if I can find it. I downloaded See if it'll do it. No, it ain't gonna let me. Let me see. Let me see. I'll try to get another picture of it. Maybe you know what it is. It's a neat little car, but it just let's see here. Save image.
Well, it's like the Suzuki Samurais. Them things, if you've got one of them that's real nice now, they're bringing ungodly amounts of money.
Yeah,
Here.
ridiculous. They were a throwaway car. They were like, I remember
Oh.
they had a little jingle up at one of the dealerships up in New York. They said, I got mine for $79.99. So it was $8,000 for a brand new one.
Yeah.
Sidekick.
Well, they got a cult following, man.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Well, if I remember right, they had a pretty stout rear end. They like.
Can you see that picture in the
That
screen?
car's ugly.
We don't see no picture.
I see it.
You see it.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
You can't unsee it either.
Hold on a minute. Let's see if I can do this. Let me try this a little better here.
Now you're cutting us all off.
I don't know what happened to him now. I've done turned everybody off.
You should cut everybody off. Ain't no pictures.
Nope. Are you there?
That was kind of a weird thing. The car
Did you
was
see
there.
it or not? Did you see it or not?
Nothing but the car and Sean.
Nah.
I wonder why he didn't see it. Maybe it takes longer to get across the mountain over there. Get across.
Maybe.
It's on there now. I see it now.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Well,
Maybe they're forbidden.
I'm on my
in
phone.
Australia.
Maybe it's because I'm on my phone. I don't know.
maybe.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah, I'm
Are you
my
guys on your
too.
phone or on your
I'm on the
laptop?
I'm
On
on
a
I'm on
laptop.
yeah. Y'all got them little Suzuki Samurais over there?
Nah, I don't know what they're called. Different. It's a different name. So we just have to work out which.
They're like a teeny weeny little bitty 4-wheel drive off-road Jeep.
With the
Right.
soft
So that's
top.
there's one that they call a Sierra and one that's called a Jimny.
A what?
A Jimny.
The
It's
Jimny.
probably that one, I would guess. It's
Does it
Let me
have
see
a
them.
claw? Does it have a soft top on it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's probably
they both
what
do.
they
I think,
call
and
the
they have a
That's
like
the-
cult following.
there's a Samurai.
Right. So that's a Jimny or a Sierra, one of the two. That's a
Yeah.
Sierra.
Okay. That's a
They call them Samurais here.
Yeah.
But that's the one your dad's got.
No.
No.
Nah.
No, we got a bunch of them. Let me try that now. Let me try that.
Are you on your phone, Stephen?
No, I am now.
That would have been easier.
Well, I know that, but I'm not there. Man, I'm trying to help you guys.
This is the one you're talking about.
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
it.
Can you see it now?
All right. Yeah. What are they? There's not many of them around.
They're like
No.
I think
Well,
they
there's
look
not
like
that many of them here either. You don't.
I think
see
that
them
was a
much.
genetic mutation between a Suzuki Samurai and a Mazda Miata.
Yeah.
Maybe. He loves the little old thing. It's amazing how much room's in that thing.
Really?
I'm gonna tell you, them Suzuki Samurais back when I was in the car business, man, you couldn't keep them. You could not keep them. You could pay more for them you could pay more than they're worth at the auction, bring them home and make $1,000.
Really?
Yeah, they were crazy, man. They were
Yeah,
just
they fetch big money over here.
they bet big money over here too, Steve.
Yeah, it's the same thing
So
with
you know,
those- they
so
were
the
the same as
Suzuki Swift. I don't know if you have that. So I used to do the ones that went from 2005 to 2010, which
Right.
which is it's an EZ. It's called. That's the model, and they still fetch really big money now. Like
Mhm.
so then there's the next model goes up to I think like 2016,
Mhm.
and the old ones fetch the same money as the next shape.
Was they reliable down there? Because
Yeah, they're unreal.
They was bad to blow head gaskets and burn
That's all.
valves here.
That's the only thing they do is they blow a head gasket, but only on like if they're not being looked after. And
Right.
I've had some in here that are like 360,000 Ks. So
I
what's
never had any trouble with the ones we. I mean, they were
it's like 250,000 miles or something on them,
Uh-huh.
and they're still purring like a kitten.
My
I
buddy,
tell you-
he would always take his mom's, and he was he always had hot rods and stuff, and then he started his hot rod broke down, so he had to drive his mom's little. I think it might have been a Geo Tracker. It was either Suzuki or a Geo, and it was hot pink. and like hot pink and with a black top and like turquoise lettering or something on it. The thing was, it was like we pull up in that thing. We're like, man, we didn't know you were gay.
Yeah.
Is this the same guy that put his leg up on the ceiling?
My mom's car. Yeah, sure it is. Sure it is.
Is this the same guy that put his leg up on the ceiling driving?
No. that was a different guy. That
You
guy
got a
that put his
very
leg up-
eclectic
that was
group
my-
of friends.
The guy who put his leg up on the ceiling. That was my buddy Dave Cox, and he actually was on Letterman and Leno for doing the stupid human tricks. You know, he was he's actually tours now, and he's been through China and everything doing. He does like a magic and sketch comedy show. I haven't seen him in years, but he was pretty cool, talented guy when it came down to it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is he a feller that can make you laugh without speaking a word?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, because that, to me, that's the hardest form of comedy they are. You know,
Yeah.
like that Mr. Bean from the
Yeah,
UK.
right. Yeah.
You know, that feller, he could just walk into a room and the way that he looks, it'll make you laugh.
Well, Dave just has a way of like telling a story, and I mean, he was refinishing furniture. Very, very talented. Like he had to build a scale car for one of his college projects, so he built an actual working miniature car that he could drive around. And he made a biplane that works on an axis that's pedal powered for this, for one of his sketch comedy things that he could roll it upside down. He'd unbuckle the seatbelt, climb out, get up, do his comedy routine, get back in, sit back up into the plane, buckle himself back in, and roll the plane back over. Very physically fit and very talented. And so he's home, and he's very dry. Like, I don't know if you know comedians, the comedian Stephen Wright. He was very dry that way. And he was refinishing some furniture in his basement. And he would come up, and when he took a break, he'd take the gloves off, and he had this red stain. He'd throw him outside. And he came up for lunch, and there's a knock at the door, and it's the UPS driver delivering a package. And Dave said the guy was acting really strange and nervous. He said, he just kind of handed me the package. And Dave says, do I have to sign for it? And the guy goes, no. And he gets in the truck and leaves. And he said, well, that was weird. And he had to run to town to get more supplies. And he comes back, and there's a note on his door, and it says, it was the Nassau Town Police. Please call us at your earliest convenience. And he looks down, and his gloves are gone. So he calls the police department, and they said, we got a call that you're dismembering people in your basement. He says, he goes, did you take my gloves? They said, we took them for evidence. He goes, open the bag and smell it. It's stained.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what was funnier is that the UPS guy thought he was killing people, or that the cops left a note on a suspected body chopper upper to give him a call at earliest convenience. It's not like storm the doors or check for anything like that. It was, please call us at your earliest convenience.
So that'd be like them waiting for Jeffrey Dahmer to call them, huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And Dave had a nasty habit of falling asleep at the wheel, and he had that Jetta. He was always a Volkswagen guy, and he was heading home one night, fell asleep right at where this road wide, and it was like an A-shaped intersection, and he went right straight through instead of taking the right or the left, and just through the intersection was like a small median, and then there was a parking lot with cars in it and a multifamily rental unit, and he went straight through there, missed the street signs that the stop sign and the route signs and everything like that, and then went across the next intersection, went up on the median, and a sign hit the front of his car and flipped up and smacked his windshield and woke him up, and he slammed the brakes on, and the sign said Jesus saves.
That is a good thing.
Yeah.
Whew, I don't know. Well, fellas, I guess I'm gonna get off here. We've been on, I don't know how long we've been on, about an hour and a half, I guess.
Yeah. I gotta go grab some dinner and get ready for school.
You gotta, I guess he's gotta go work because it's morning down there in the spring. God, it must be nice springtime.
Copperhead, I hope you have a good Halloween.
Thank you. Same to you guys.
Yeah. We're gonna be keeping
Hey, if
that.
you're in Hiawassee tomorrow, come by Stephen and Emily's there, and you can try some of my barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I got to take my kids all over the place. I'd like to come down and get some barbecue. I'll see if I can free that up. What time you guys gonna be down there?
I'll probably
I live here. I'll be here all the time.
Okay.
I'll probably have the barbecue down there probably about 5 o'clock, something like that.
Oh, that's
When I
cool.
have it
I think
there.
I got to drop the kids off they're going to do Duke Street in Murphy. And
Now, that's a big deal. Duke Street, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Copperhead, your trucks are looking good, man. I think that's gonna be a cool rig. Yep.
Yeah, I've done a heap of, I've actually painted it.
Yeah, it looks good.
Looks good. I like it.
So that's the
The
first
second-
coat. I don't know if we're doing it that color or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not what I was planning. I've been throwing little spots of color on it to try to get something to inspire me. And then I had this epiphany of what I wanted to do. And then I put the colors on and I didn't like it. So I was going to do it like a peppermint green, like a real light peppermint green, and then a darker green on the guards. And then when I put it on, it didn't work, and it hasn't worked with the metal work that I've been doing on it. And then I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then,
Why don't you paint a copper color?
well, I don't know. I've had that it sort of got that a bit with the rust, like the stuff, and I'm like, yeah, nothing's speaking to me. Everyone wants me to do it black, but I'm not. I don't know. So I've done it black, and I'm still not convinced.
Mm-hmm.
Do copper like a penny, man. Your Copperhead Customs, you can do copper.
Do it like I did that one van. Maybe you can do it Panther Pink.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Everybody
It's got to match the brand interior as well, and I just don't know. Been doing it with a brush, though. I've done it with a brush and a roller.
Is that what's
And
on
then I'm
there?
just going to stuff it back, and so it doesn't. If I'll just keep putting more and more layers on it, and then it looks. So I'm doing it now. Everyone think I'm like, why are you doing? You haven't finished working on it while you're painting it, because the plan is to start getting some layers on, and that way, if it gets beat up and stuff during the build, that's what I want it to do. Like, because I want it to look.
So have you got green under that black?
No. Well, in certain areas there will be in a few patches, yeah.
Because what you could do, you just started saying you could do the patina look to where you wet sand that paint down to where it changes colors, where you got black and then it'll come through as green and everything.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do. But I was going to have the black down first, and then like say I'll probably throw some other colors on and see if anything grabs me, and if not, I'll just do it black over the top.
Well, that's definitely a 302. Then I seen you did that the other day. That's definitely a 302. And
yeah.
One.
Looks like
on that measurement. See, I never have seen a 302 like that here, except unless the Boss 302 would have been the 302 that looked like that. It was the one that they called the Boss 302.
Okay.
Well, that's shorter rev. That ought to give him a little bit more rev on the short stuff.
So if it's a Boss 302 here in America, that's even more rare than a 351 Cleveland.
That'll be ample for this thing.
Well,
it weighs nothing. Like literally, I can pick it up like a wheelbarrow. I can pick it up from the back like a wheelbarrow, and so these things weigh nothing. The same with your car, John. It wouldn't weigh much, would it? That little red thing of yours?
Yeah, that my truck complete is 2,500 pounds.
So what's that? It's like a ton.
It's a ton and a quarter.
Ton and a quarter.
See,
I don't even reckon I'll hit that.
Yeah, my bed. I made my bed out of a little heavier steel than I needed to and stuff too. And that was last time I weighed it was 25. We were at 2,500.
You gonna put a
that might have been with me in it too. So it's probably a ton without me in it.
You gonna put a 4-barrel back on that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll look better with a 4-barrel on it.
And I actually come up with a little bit of a weird idea. I'll fill you in on this one. Is I'm gonna make a top for it. Yeah, like I'm thinking like a metal top, and then I think I can make it so that I can take it off, and then stick it in the tray, and it'll be like a hard lid in the tray.
There you go. That's cool.
That will be.
And so I can just drive around, and then if it's going to rain, I can just get plonk and like 2 pins, and it's on. Oh.
That'd be cool. My buddy did that with a tee. He's got a pretty wild tee that he made. I'm sure. I know, Stephen, you've seen it. It's the one that's got the skull flappers on the exhaust.
Right.
And he did burlap. He made a steel frame and put burlap over, and then sealed the burlap. And it's he can't take it with him. It's either on or off. But he has it so a couple bolts and you can take the roof off it. But you got that. Be able to put it in the bed makes it great.
Yeah.
So I just uploaded one. There's one that you haven't probably seen, but I've done all the metal work like weird. I've done it like with stitches. Seeing anything? Looking at.
Yep. I can see the motor.
Can you see it or not?
Just the engine right now.
Hold still. You're froze. Don't move.
See that? Instead of like cutting it out, I've put little patches.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm with you on that. I seen that.
See, that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
So I've just stuck metal over the top. I've made them all like proper, like so they could have been cut in and butt welded, but I just stuck them on the top and then did little stitches like it's been sewn on, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I seen that in that video. I watched it. I think you just uploaded one not long ago. I watched one.
I just did one this morning that had that.
It's- It's crazy how fast the time goes by when you're working like that, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
It
I've
don't,
got seriously, this thing is like it's not that far away. I was thinking
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
be
what I
stuck
was
on this
saying.
thing for a year, but I'm going to have this done within a month, I think.
I think so too.
yeah, the faster the better for YouTube, really.
Yeah, so I think I'll have it within a month. I think I'll have all the fab work done, and it will basically be at the point where we're like connecting brake lines and getting the motor to fire and fuel lines and that sort of stuff. So that's the plan, anyway.
Yeah.
Did you
Well, I
get,
like watching it.
did you get rid of the stinky car yet?
Nah, it's just up at the other block.
No takers? Have you got it on
Nah.
Facebook or anything?
No, I put it up there for something like, you know, I'm not giving it away. Put it up for a decent price.
Now, how
Nobody-
you doing? How you doing with your subscribers? Are they coming on now? Is it picking up or what? I mean, I'm kind of like,
I don't know, 1,500.
right.
You've gone flying past me.
I'm at 1,900, but like I said, I'm stalled right now. Of course, I ain't been doing a whole lot of anything. I put them videos up when we went on that car show, which was really cool. But I got, like I said,
I think if you let up, it really hurts you. You got to really, really just stay after it. If you're, you know, it's kind of like that one feller that's got so many following where he's got his kids helping him and everything. That I can't remember what he calls his channel, but
sleeper dude or whatever it is.
yeah, Sleeper Dude.
Goats.
Yeah, he, you know, you got to stay consistent. Of course, you know, he's got the family thing going on there, and he does pretty good. You know, he's trying to do stuff cheaply, and
He's got a good channel. He's a good guy. I've talked to him before. He's really a good guy.
where's he live at in Tennessee?
I don't know exactly, up there above Chattanooga somewhere, but
Is he?
I don't know. If the channel doesn't go off of this car, then I've got no hope, I think.
yeah, just
After
keep
making
going,
that Bedford and then making this, if the channel doesn't take off from making these two cars for next to nothing, then it never
Let
will.
me ask you, what do you do about your music that you play? Is that something you get off of YouTube? Do you do that
Yeah.
through YouTube?
Yeah.
I'm thinking
YouTube
about
has
making I'm thinking about making my own. I really am.
So that's
Yeah, but
just
you'll
like
still
in
get
the. So
copyrighted.
I upload the video with no music, and then in the actual YouTube studio, I go in and add the music in there.
Right. See, I do mine because I do the morning show, the morning dish, and I edit a lot of that. So I've actually got a movie editor on my computer that I go in there and I edit all that. Then I put the music in. But I like to have my own style. You know, I guess there's a lot of stuff on there, but it's just not what I'm. You know, I like that redneck hillbilly country hick stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of Waylon Jennings kind of sound. You know, watch him grin down here at the bottom, but kind of bluegrass stuff.
I like
You know,
bluegrass stuff. I'm big in the blues though, man. I like the blues is my favorite genre.
Yeah, it all
Well,
depends on
I'll
what
do
you're doing.
I'll do some videos once I get that 440 ready to go in and start putting it in that satellite. But you know, I realize I'm sort of like my clothes, my music, and my movies. I'm just really not that much in style, and I can accept that. I'm fine with that because you know.
Well, see,
This
I
is-
just keep mixing the music up on different video. I'll do a different genre of music. I'll do one that's more rocky, one that's a bit heavier, one that's more trendy. I just
Right.
keep changing them around, trying to, you know, I don't know. So the last one I put up, I did a bit more hands-on, and I found it really boring to video it. Like I did the first few like that. They're really hard to edit. They're really boring, and I watched it this morning, and I found it. I don't find them very entertaining. Like doing the showing everything. Like I think it's better to just show it on time lapse and add music to it. It's more entertaining that way. I think. Like
What do they
Yeah, I
do
think
like
I
you
think
do
you're
on
right. video gets too long, then it's hard to watch. You know, I think people's attention span is so short now.
Yeah, so then watching me crank on the crank handle in the bead roller for 5 minutes, like I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, so it's better off to have it on time lapse, and that takes 5 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
like
don't
that.
know.
We're fixing to paint that Cadillac, and I sanded it, but I did it on time lapse. But God, man, it's slow. I mean, hopefully we're gonna paint the Cadillac this week if everything works out. And have it
That's
get it out there. Then I need to get back on the Bronco, which I ain't got the motor back yet. He's supposed to have the valve job done. He said this week, and then put the motor back together. And I'm gonna cut the top off the Bronco. It'll be a pretty cool build, but it's been a little bit slow. But my boy's been painting his. He got a GMC truck. We painted it, but we didn't video it. But we got a lot going. But then I got Benny's, which is where I eat at, and we got trucks down and drivers out. But everybody should be back this week, so hopefully be back.
I figured that you'd get that Thunderbird that you got off me and pull the motor out of it and put in that Bronco.
I'm gonna fix that thing up and sell it. I think.
Are you?
Ain't that? Is that a 302? I've got 3 or 4.
Oh yeah,
302s.
it's a 302 roller motor.
Yeah, I got 2 or 3 302s. I've got a 88 GT Mustang 302 and just a regular. You're talking about putting that 50 forward in the 50?
Yeah. Well, you know, the Bronco, I figured you just use that one out of the Thunderbird in that Bronco.
No, we built it. Yeah, we
It
built
didn't
it.
run so hot. Was the pistons cracked in that thing?
No, just blowed head gasket all the way across on the right left hand side.
The water pump was turning backwards on it, wasn't it?
Yep.
See, Daryl Ledford was the one that built that thing.
He did a good job. I'm not kidding you. Daryl did a good job on that. And what little bit, the things that he really didn't do that, I know we're doing, like the oil pan, he beat it with a hammer and we're fixing that, this little stuff, that we're going to do. But that's going to be a cool build. We're going to cut the top off of it, and make it like a roadster kind of thing.
I think once you get it done to where you can show a video of it done, that'll do good for you. But the build process, if you can do it all in one video, I think that's where it's at. Like Chip Foos, we'll do this build in 7 days because people lose interest on the real time that it takes to do it.
Yeah, I want to do more like that. What's that guy's name that had the Orange County Choppers? I want to do more like that. I'm gonna get Dylan to come in, and my boy, he'll start hollering at me, and I'll start screaming at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll get people watching, man. People, it's the people that aren't into cars watch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, let me throw it too.
Throw a chair.
Yeah, throw a chair.
Yeah.
It's drama, man. Drama. They like drama.
That's what that's what it says. It says that there's like the few things that you want. You want like curiosity, drama, or there's another one. But they're the things that's all people are interested in.
Yeah, naked women. People like naked women too.
Yeah. There's this one guy that's got a channel. He's doing some work on some Volkswagens, and you ought to see the thumbnail pictures that he's got his wife, and it's about like that teacher that they've been talking about. Is it up in Canada that's been dressing? That's what this guy's wife looks like on the thumbnail. You're like, what the heck?
This guy's wife dressing in where?
His wife, he puts a thing on her on the thumbnail picture, and it looks like she's got these great big huge breasts. It's crazy.
I'm finding out stuff about you and John I didn't know about, man.
No,
I don't know too much,
all
man.
in YouTube. I don't go out looking for that. That's what YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Sure. It's popping up in your algorithm somehow.
Yeah.
Oh well. All right, folks, let's do it again next week. I don't know. I think Steve Maggs will be back with us next week. He'll be pretty interesting. Are you familiar with Steve Maggs at all, Copperhead?
Yeah.
Nah, I'll look him up.
You look him up. He goes back to. He's from Hot Rod. He worked for Hot Rod Magazine. He's really a good car historian.
Yes,
he knows anything and everything about cars.
And he's a really nice guy too.
Yeah.
I got it actually when I was publishing my magazine. I reviewed his book and his DVD on how to build an ultra wheelbase car, and I've been wanting to build one ever since.
Yeah, that Fairmont that he built is wicked, ain't it?
Yeah, man. He's got the Fairmont. He's got that the video follows the Esserman Dodge getting built, and it's just a backyard video that he made. Like there's a couple scenes where he's working on something, and then his cat goes walking by. So it's just You know, it really is just a backyard deal, but
Yeah.
it really well and very, very informative video. It's
I don't know why Motor Trend got rid of him. Why did Motor Trend get rid of him? I don't understand. He was doing
Yeah,
good.
I
and he did all
know.
that stuff with,
they folded
That-
up so many of their different magazines and stuff. There's no telling, you know.
When you get them Hollywood producer guys in there, it's just, I think it ruins a lot of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
But he
you
was
start getting
doing-
about all the bottom dollar and not about the car anymore.
Yeah, and Freiberger, the reason why his longevity has led, because he has been around them people his whole life, because his father was into, you know, some of the entertainment industry or something out there. So he knows these people from way back, and he knows how to play politics with them and everything. And that's why the roadkills lasted as long as what he has, because
Well, plus
he knows
he
the
was-
politics side.
That show was kind of on the forefront of it too. So it's everybody knows that show because it was kind of the first of it. He had the wherewithal to get out ahead of the curve on that. You know, it
Right.
was, you know, he was very smart that way, and he kept his feet in both media for a while, doing the video and the magazine. So it was able to kind of transition it towards the video away from the magazine when he was ready to do it, you know, on his terms.
I think he's really a pretty good guy. He's really a true car guy. And,
Yeah.
you know, and he actually is pretty good on history too. You know,
Oh, yeah,
one thing
yeah.
I'll say about him,
Mhm.
you know, he's,
Yeah.
when he goes into the historical side on some of his posts on Instagram, I enjoy seeing some of the facts that you didn't know about some different hot rodders and stuff that he knows.
And speaking of
Going
that
back-
stuff too,
Yeah.
Steve McNinte, he's got a book, 1001 muscle car facts. That's really
he's
good.
got three or four of them.
Yeah, they're good, man. There's a lot of stuff in there that, you know, a lot of stuff that I already knew, but I learned a lot from his books. You know,
Are they like Barry's car maintenance tips and tricks?
Yeah.
I love it.
Of course, giving him a name. His name's Barry.
Barry.
Barry,
Yeah, that's Barry.
Barry.
I
I
like
had a
that.
mate called Barry, and he said, "My name's Baz. Barry's a guy's name." So yeah, we've called him Barry. Barry's car maintenance tips and tricks. I think I put episode 10 up.
I like that. The other day, John put that one up about the analog mirrors. That was pretty cool.
that
that was-
was that was like the last minute. I said, "Here," I handed the phone to Liberty. I'm like, "Here, shoot this."
Yeah.
And
I was like, why didn't I think of that? You get on that.
That's what someone said to me. He goes, "How did you do that so straight faced?" And I was like, "That was just one shot. We just did it."
How many
Yeah.
views? you
They're
got
fun
on
to
this?
do those stupid
I don't
things.
know, man.
right?
I just put that one up the other day. It wasn't very many. I think it was only like 20 the last time I looked.
That was a good
But,
video, though. It's like, if your backup
Thanks.
camera does not work, let me show you
What was it? A short that you
Yeah.
did?
No, it's
No,
cool.
I mean, it was like
Nah,
a minute and a
well,
half
normal.
long, but it's for some reason my phone doesn't let me do the shorts. So there's no link to it.
That can only be either 15 seconds or a minute. Shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't figure out how to do it off my phone, so I just shot this one and just put it up there. And
It hadn't been showing me any videos that you posted. I've started following you back
Really?
a
Ring
month
the
or so
bell, baby.
ago,
You
and
gotta
I
ring the
hadn't seen
bell.
anything. Huh?
I see all
Ring
you
the
guys
bell.
pop up in my pretty regular in my stuff.
Yeah, if you subscribe, make sure you ring the bell. It'll help the channel.
What I'm trying to work out how to do is we can put each other's channels on our channel.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to do
Somewhere
that.
in the further, like when you
Oh,
flick
no,
through the
yeah.
thing, it says channels, like recommended channels or something.
Oh, see, Bill
Right.
Bill from Flat Brook knows how to do that. So one of these days I'll have to get him over to my house and he can show me how to do that on the computer.
Yeah.
that's-
And that way
that'd
we
be
can
good
start
for all
to-
of us together.
Like pull our people together.
I'll
Yeah.
work on that. I'll work on that.
Yeah, because they talk about this being a community anyway, and so that's what makes it part of a community is people all know each other,
Yeah.
you know, and of course, you know, we'll say we're kindly like-minded and everything like that, and interested in the same stuff. So we should be seeing some of the same videos.
Yeah, right.
I'll Google that. I'll Google that and I'll work on that. My boy's here. He's pretty good about that kind of stuff. We definitely need to link them together and get.
Yeah, so you know the thing I mean, don't it? It says like when you flick across the top on your channel, it will have other channels or something
Right.
that you're in with or whatever.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to do that. Definitely need to do that. I even took some of these videos we done. I cut out like 45 seconds. Some of the funny stuff.
I've
that we
seen
see.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did the one with the helicopter. You know, my wife is pissed and all that. So I don't know. I thought, well,
Are they doing pretty good on the shorts?
Not really. They really.
They're all just hit and miss. They're so hit. So I pull them down and put them back up sometimes, and I'll have one that had 7,000 views, and then it will get 5, and then I'll pull it down and put it back up, and it'll get 10,000 views, and then I'll pull it down and put it up, and it'll get 5, and so that's the same. That's the same video. Like so it's got nothing to do with the video. It's all just to do with. Yeah. Some of them take. It's just all to do with how it drops, and some take, some don't.
I thought that one we did about racing fuel, you went. I thought, man, that's got to take off, but it didn't. Then we talked about flat broke talking about his wife. That she went from straight to pissed. Man, it was hilarious. I kind of went through it and looked at some funny stuff, but I don't know. Anyway, I got to get up in the morning, folks. And,
me too, man.
I enjoy this. I hope y'all do, man. I really do. I enjoy this.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
Y'all have a good week.
All right, man.
See you
everyone.
All right.
See you in November.
I will be there. All right.
See ya.